Kia ora koutou te whānau, malo, ni bula, kia orana. My name is Whaea Bec, and some of you would have tuned in the last time and made an art project with me, and some of you will be new here today. So welcome to any new people. It's really great to have you here, and I hope you're ready to get your creative game on today. So each session we have been looking at the theme ko ai au, who am I, and exploring ideas around that, who we are, what we're experiencing at the moment, what we look like, the things we like, what we do. And we've been gathering up all those artworks with the idea of putting them into a container or a bag and keeping them kind of like a time capsule, documenting this time when we're at home in our bubbles, and then who knows, maybe 5 or 10 years in the future we'll look back and go, oh, I remember when I was that age, when I was 5 or 10 or 15. I remember looking like that. And it will just be fun to look back at the things that we've created during this time in our rāhui, in our bubble. So what are we going to do today? Today I thought we could look at the idea of me and my whānau, or you and your whānau, and we could make a figure drawing. So a figure means our whole body. So the other day we looked at how to do basic portraits, and I hope you had a really good time doing that and you've had to go and come up with something that you like, or you've thought, oh, I'm not very good at that yet, I'm going to keep practicing. I know that's the case for me. I need to keep practicing to get better all the time. But first I just want to show you a picture a friend sent to me, and she lives right across the road from the beach, and so each day to get her exercise she goes for a walk on the beach. And so today she's sent me a photo of a full figure drawing that she's made using things that she's found on her walk. So she's used plants and shells, and she laid it out on the beach and she took a photo for me. I hope you can see that. So her name is Penny, and this is a picture of Penny using what looks like plants and shells, and yeah, I just thought that was really cool. So some of our younger viewers, maybe have a look around your homes, and maybe you could find some sticks or some little flower petals, and you could make a full figure drawing using those things. So think outside the square. You don't always have to make a piece of art using a pencil and a bit of paper. You can use other things like what we've seen there. So today for my materials I'm going to use a pencil, and I'm also going to use a paper shopping bag. If you don't have pad paper or anything like that, there are lots of other things that you can use. You can use old used envelopes or shopping bags, recycle them. So this one had a bit of writing on it, and this side had a seam on it, so I didn't want to use that side. So I've cut it out using my scissors, and some of you might need help using scissors. Some of you will be just fine. And so that's the surface that I'm going to draw on today. Now, when we are looking at drawing the full figure, we need to work out how big that person is. And so today, for one of our keywords, we're looking at the word proportion. So proportion refers to the size of parts of a whole. Here's how to spell the word proportion. Pangaritiriti. I'll show that here as well. There we go. Pangaritiriti, proportion. So if we were going to look at the size of my head as a base measurement and work out how tall I need to be when I'm drawn, we could measure the size of my head and then use that measurement to see how many times my head fits in my body so that I can get my body drawn in proportion. So I've got my husband behind the camera, and he's going to show you how to measure my head to get that size. So he's putting the top of the pencil at the top of my head, and his thumb is at the bottom of my chin. Now if he was going to measure my full body, of course I'd need to be standing up, so he's just going to see how many times my head fits into my torso. So I don't know if you can see that. So what he did was he took the top of the pencil and he put the top of the pencil under my chin, and then the thumb maybe is down here somewhere, up a bit. I don't know, you'll be able to see that, I can't quite see that. And so using a pencil when you're drawing someone, thank you pencil guy, using a pencil when you're drawing someone to get that measured into their body will help you draw your figure in proportion, because remember that proportion refers to the size of the parts in a whole. So this is a part and the whole is the rest of my body. I hope that makes sense. So a good place to start, if you're taking that measurement, and say that measurement was, let me get my ruler out to get this accurate, say if that measurement from the top of my pencil to my thumb was 2 centimetres, that is the scale that we're going to use for my figure. Now, earlier on today we measured how many of my heads fit into my body. I'm not extremely tall. I am an adult, and 5 of my heads, oh no, 6 of my heads fit into the length of my body. If you are tall, you might have 8 heads that fit into your body. So it's a really good way of measuring your size. Oh, another interesting measurement fact. If you stretch your arms way out wide and you measure from your middle finger to your middle finger while it's stretched out using a tape measure, that generally is the length of your body. So you can test that later and see if that's true. Hey, we've done with that now. Go away with your pencil measurements. But that will come in handy later. So we're going to start our drawing now, and remember the key word for drawing, hua hua for sketch, and paki waituhi for cartoon. I have to say I'm much better at sketching, I think, than I am at cartooning. Right, so I'm going to draw maybe 3 different age groups, because there are different rules to different age groups. So I'm going to base mine on a tall person, someone who has 8 heads that fit in their body. So what I've done using my ruler is I draw a straight line this way first, and then down the side of my page I marked out 2 centimetres. So I used my times table 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, because I knew that I did 16 because I knew that I wanted 8 heads to fit into the length of my body. So I marked dots down one side of my page, took my ruler over to the other side, marked out the dots on the other side, and then I lined the dots up and I ruled the line so that I'd have a nice straight and even platform to start my drawing. So when we start our drawing, we're going to use something called construction lines, and it's, if you watch the episode on drawing a face and marking it out, it's the same thing. So we're going to mark out rough lines to create the figure, and then we'll work some detail in over the top. Alright, so what we go through today will just be absolutely general rules. So if we were to think of an adult figure and 8 lines, every 2 centimetres for the scale of the head, and their drawing down to the start of where their legs are, will roughly be halfway. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'll put a mark down there. That's where the legs will start. Now, not everyone is even proportions, so that's another thing you can measure with your pencil. Sometimes our torsos are shorter, sometimes our legs are shorter, sometimes our legs are longer. So this really is just a general rule to get you started. An adult, generally their shoulders, this is another interesting measurement. If their head's 2 centimetres that way, their shoulders should stick out 1 centimetre from the sides of their head as well. So around about there is where the shoulders will be. And also their shoulder line will be lower underneath their head because their neck's longer. When you are, say, a baby through to 4, your neck's a little bit shorter. So your line, let's have a look at our little toddler. We'll do our toddler 1, 2, 3, 4. So that will be our toddler. Remember we start with a nice oval shape when we're doing our heads. If you tuned in the other day, sorry I forgot to mention that at the start of this drawing. So their shoulder span will be a lot narrower, just because your bodies haven't developed as much as an adult. So let's actually write up here 18 years, and we'll put 8 heads for the length of their body. For this one we'll put, say, 1, 2, 5, just because we all grow at different rates, and there'll be 4 heads in the length of their body. So their shoulders won't come out very wide because they haven't grown that much, and it will be quite close to the bottom of the chin. So if we do their shoulders just a little bit wider than the head, you should be fine. Now we're going to use shape, here's another key word, huahanga, to fill in the bodies and get the basic shape of our bodies. So in adult, let's go back to the adult drawing. Sorry, jumping between the two, but there are differences between each body age. We're just going to block in sort of a rectangular shape. And thinking about the legs, we've got kneecaps. So halfway between the bottom of the pelvis and the bottom of our sketch, you can see there's 4 lines. So around about the second, I'm going to put some kneecaps, just drawing them in as circles at the moment. And then there'll be some triangles down the bottom to represent the feet at this stage, because these are our construction lines. So the arms, on an adult, our arms, if we stand and relax our arm down, our hands generally sit mid-thigh. So if we do a little circle mid-thigh, which is in the top section of our legs, and then halfway between the top of that and the shoulder should be our elbows. So these are construction lines for our arms, like that. Alright, so that is proportions, basic proportions for adults. Let's go back to our little toddler. So a toddler's arms and legs are shorter than an adult's. So let's just mark out the body shape from the sides of the shoulders that we put in earlier. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So 2 would be halfway, but a toddler has a longer torso, so we're going to make that a little bit lower, maybe down to here. So we've got 1, 2, and part way through the 3rd line there. So their knees will be halfway between the bottom of the pelvis and the bottom of our drawing space. So we can put those little circles in there. And then the arms are also shorter. Okay, so the arms are a bit shorter, so they will be just, the hands will be hitting just the bottom of the pelvis. And so the middle of the elbow will be there in between the shoulder and where I've put the hands. Okay, so what we'll do is quickly flesh those out a little bit more and turn them into something that looks a little bit more like a person. So back to our adult, we need to add in a neck, and this one's quite angular, which is generally similar to a male form. If you are drawing a female, the lines will be a lot softer, maybe the hips will be a little bit wider, things like that. So just adding in some sausage shapes to pad out my construction lines, drawing those in. Remember, this is absolute basics. The shape of your figure or the person that you're drawing will look a little bit different to mine. Like that. And our little baby will be, or toddler, they've got a bit more baby fat, so they might be a little bit more pudgy looking. We tend to get a little bit leaner as we grow, some of us. Sausages for the arms, and then you can look closely later at the details. So that would be our little baby figure. Okay, now faces on your drawings. Generally we break our eye line halfway down our head shape. For a little child, their eyes are lower, so you'd put the eyes in there, nose, little mouth. Remember, you can put your ears, the top of your eye line, and your going down to the bottom of the nose line. So that is where a toddler's face is. It's a little bit more squished up in the bottom. An adult, their eyes would be on that line, nose underneath, mouth there. Okay. So that's the difference between an adult face and a child's face. Also, the eyebrows on the toddler would probably be where that midline is, whereas an adult would be closer to the eye. Something like that. Okay, so if you're somewhere in between this age, say you're around about, or maybe 7 to 10, just depends on your height really, this is general rules. You would probably be about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 heads high, so your head would be there. And hopefully I've given you enough tips to be able to work that one out yourself. Another way that you could do a scale drawing is looking at an existing picture. Now I have a lovely picture of Dame Whina Cooper and one of her grandchildren I found in this book. I'll just show that quickly to the camera. And you could copy off a photo and you could look at the shapes that are in each of those figures and start that way. I think that's all that we've got time for today, but I hope it's enough to keep you going and help you to learn how to draw figures. It would be really great to see some of your work. If you could text us a photo of it to 5811 or send an email if possible to info@hltv.co.nz. I would really love to see your work. So I'm going to sign off for now, but I will tell you that I might have a little outside activity that we can show you after this, but I'll sign off for now and head out and do that. So, see you next time. Ka kite, manuia. Go well in your creativity. We'll just pop outside.
Yeah!